Hello and welcome to the E-commerce Gold podcast. I'm your host Finn, and on today's show we have another fantastic guest for your listening pleasure. It's Bret from the 9-figure brand Kizik. Bret started his career at Purple, the mattress with the famous Goldilocks advert that ran. It was very funny on YouTube for a long time. You might even remember it. And he's since moved on to Kizik, which is a hands-free shoe. But surely all shoes are hands-free? Yes, technically, but this shoe you just slide on in there. 180 patents protect these shoes from competitors. You don't need your hands to put them on. That's the sort of thing. But Bret talks about how it's been in the shoe game, what their aims are, how they're getting to $1 billion from where they currently are. And altogether, it's a fantastic conversation brought to you by Sendlane. Sendlane is the company that you should be using for emails, for SMS, and for reviews. Why? They're cheaper than Klaviyo. They're more modern than Klaviyo, in my opinion. The team will get behind your business better than Klaviyo. I mean, it's not just about Sendlane versus Klaviyo. Sendlane is a fantastic standalone tool, but they are disrupting Klaviyo. You should check them out today. Links in the show notes below. And this show is also brought to you by another one of my favorite applications. That's Rewind. Is it my favorite because I've used it to save my bacon more than once? Yes, but that's not the only reason why you should install it. You should install it because it gives you a staging site, which means you can test things before you do it on your live site, which is very important. But it also gives you an undo button. And if you mess something up, rather than calling your developers or frantically panicking because you've just deleted a load of products, you can just click the undo button. Having that option is invaluable. So please check them out. They're in the Shopify App Store or the link is down below. Enjoy today's episode and over to you, Bret. Thank you very much for joining us today on the Ecom Gold podcast. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
Very well. Very, very well. We just had a quick chat. I told you I'm into CrossFit. Everyone knows that by now, but you're into golf. So I'll ask you one question. You get paired up with someone on the golf course at your local golf club. You've not played with them before. They seem like a nice person. They ask you what you do and what you're all about. How would you answer that question?
What I do? Yeah. It's funny because I think as a marketer, we try and put spins on things and make it maybe over complicated. But, for me, it's just, I'm a marketer by trade. I love, helping people on their journey to find the right product. And, but, my sales pitch is I work for a hands-free footwear company that, brings, hands-free footwear to all. So, but my everyday life is I'm a dad. You can kind of see in my hat, I'm a dad, I'm a husband. And those are my passions. I love my family and just spending time with the people I love. So
nice. How do you optimize that while you're doing your job? Have you got some kind of set structure? Do you have any firm rules around work-life balance?
Yeah, it's hard. My wife would tell you that, maybe I spend, I love to work. I love, I don't get the Sunday scaries. I don't, dread going to work. And so I have to, when I come home, I have to turn it off. So I've tried over the last, especially the last handful of years to really, when I'm home and I try and at least put my phone away and turn off notifications. But, when you love what you do, and especially in marketing, I'll see something on TV or, when I'm just kind of, my brain's kind of always going, thinking like, oh, that's an interesting way that, to think about the marketing industry or a cultural trend or something. And so, there's always those moments where it slips in, but I just try and be present, try and be a present dad and husband and make the most of the time, I am at home and just go deep into, whatever I'm doing with my family and yeah, that seemed to work really well. Where when I'm at work, I can really dive deep and focus on work, but, I'm home, be the best dad and husband I can. So, we'll see if that is actually true when if I didn't screw up my kids when they grow up and we send them off, but, it's fun.
Why does that always happen when you're having that downtime, that is like objectively, when you think of all these crazy good ideas, I find anyway, you like just switch off for a minute. I'm going to enjoy this. You're sitting in the park, and then you see someone walk past wearing that brand that you've heard all about, and you think, I wonder what made that person purchase that brand, and why do they choose to wear that today? And you're like, nope, stop it. Focus on being in real life, in the present moment. Yeah, it's hard, but that is the plague that plagues us all. I think, at least the best marketers and the best operators out there. I think that is something you just can't switch off. But it is annoying that it always seems to happen when you're trying to not make it happen. And they're always the best ones too, that you just have to scribble down. Do you carry a notepad, or are you a Siri guy, or do you just chuck it into your phone?
Yeah, I'm just like use my notes app. But it, like, to your point, I think because my mind's going all day long, when I'm in the shower at night, those are when like everything, all of the ideas come out. And I wish I had like a whiteboard in my shower just to like put down notes. So I'm trying to create like moments that I can remember as soon as I get out of the shower, and I can go write it down. Cause I think your mind's just kind of, it's relaxed, and I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. So,
if you want a really quick way to work out where entrepreneurs and top marketers live, you could just look at their water usage versus household people, because it would be extremely high. Because I'm the same. You just zone out, don't you? And you go, hey, I'm having a shower. I've been in it for 15 minutes. Hang on. And yeah. It's so strange how the subconscious works. I'd love to tap into that a bit more. I need someone to figure that out. I mean, if that was on tap, where you could just go into that zone and come up with those ideas, that would be incredible. Cool. Well, you're like me. You're like a lot of the listeners then, I think, where you just cannot turn it off. And are you thinking about marketing stuff? Like, what sort of things are you thinking about? Are you thinking about, how could I do that better? You think about how could I take that into my own business, and how could I implement that in the marketing that we're doing? What sort of things are the reoccurring themes when you're thinking like that?
Yeah. I think it changes by the season of your business. I mean, early on when I first started at Kizik, I just hit my 4-year mark. And it was all about like, how do we survive? How do we go from selling 20 pairs a day to 100 pairs a day? Or, how do we take the kind of the next step? It was all about kind of, really product market fit, and how do we like get this out there? And now, where we've been fortunate enough to grow the company over the last 4 years, it's, how do we make this a household brand? How do we take the next step to becoming $1 billion brand? How do we maybe reposition the company from where we were last year to where, we want to go in 24, and just set ourselves up for long-term success. And now we're playing on, omni-channel and retail and wholesale, and there's all these new challenges to overcome. So I think, it really does change by the month and the year. And that's what's actually really exciting, is it's not, how do we get in, 5% growth, how do we 3X? How do we achieve profitability, and some of these other, big initiatives that, it's fun being in a position where, I'm tasked with trying to solve those things. So, and then building a team, right? I think that's a big one for us. When we started it, there was a handful of us on the marketing team, and now we're a team of 30. So managing a team that, where you're used to doing it all, firing yourself to then manage a team to then execute a vision is a completely new set of challenges, where you want to, focus on culture and career progression for someone else. And so it's just it's a unique beast, but it's really challenging, and there's never a dull moment. So
I think what you're saying is you think about a lot.
Yeah. You could say I kind of was ping ponging around like, well, but now I have to think about that. And that. So yeah, it is a lot.
Okay. So here's something that I want to know about, because when you have so much to think about, how do you prioritize your thoughts? Do you have any kind of methods? Do you have, so for the listener, we will do an introduction. We will cover off what Kizik's all about and what Bret's all about. But just, I'm interested to understand this because this is something I struggle with. You have so many things to think about in a day. You have so many things that you're working towards. Personally, I use Things app, but generally that's just I'm terrible at admin. I'm terrible at organization. But I wake up in the morning, I try and write down the things that I need to get done that day. But it's a never-ending list of tasks. So for someone that's been doing this for a long time in this game, what have you worked out in terms of prioritization, in terms of your own operating manual to get shit done and actually execute? Like, do you have any tips for us? How can we be better at doing that?
I wish I could say I have it all figured out. A couple of things that I found helpful for me though is finding opportunity where I can write down my thoughts and then prioritizing those by greatest impact. I think, we're all in countless meetings. My schedule is packed with meetings, but I've really tried to start canceling the ones that really could be, a loom or, asynchronous. And that's opened up more time for me actually to execute and get stuff done. But then too, just kind of, a basic kind of scoring, rubrics where you can say, hey, what can I get done and what's going to make the greatest impact? And I focus on those and kind of try and knock those out throughout the day. And then, schedule in time for me to kind of deal with maybe the smaller things that are, that aren't going to make the greatest impact or are the most truly time sensitive from a business objective standpoint. I could spend all day dealing with, the minutia and being in the weeds. But that's something I've had to kind of, like I said, pull myself out of and hey, what does the business need me to do? What's the best use of my time? And that's just helped me kind of reframe my mindset and where I don't get bogged down with, really, like I said, in the weeds tasks that unfortunately we've hired fantastic people that I can pass on to them where they have, more bandwidth. So that's helped me.
Do you find, we were speaking, kind of loosely ties off this segment, but do you find that you come up with your best ideas when you're doing that, when we spoke about when you're having that off time? And then if that's true, why isn't your whole job just to go and play golf and think about good things for the business?
That's maybe I should, can we cut that part out and I can take that back? No, there's, I think there's something inherently, value about freeing your mind up, where, and like I said, I'm not great at it. A lot of my Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays are just chock full of meetings, and I'm trying to take a step back from those to free up time to create. But there is something that, spending time with your team in meeting brainstormings where creative juices are flowing, that's still so valuable. Some of our most impactful campaigns and strategies, they come out of those meetings. So there's no way to just kind of shortcut through the grind of being in it, in those moments where you can collaborate as a team. And that's where some of the greatest marketing ideas are born. And I think I don't ever want to be out of those meetings or those opportunities to kind of really work through a big concept or whiteboard session. But taking a step back, taking time for yourself and moments away really do energize, and you come back with some of those ideas. So it's a balance, but trying to figure it out every day and get better at it. So.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. I can't say this is the Shark Tank segment of the show, so we'll call it the Bear's Den. Welcome to the Bear's Den. I want you to just give me the introduction pitch for what Kizik is all about. You
want like the origin story, or what can I sell you on?
If you were going on the Shark Tank and in that first couple of minutes, explaining the business? How would you explain it?
Yeah. Like I said, we're a hands-free tech company that, we have more than 180 patents worldwide, and we're on a mission to revolutionize the footwear industry. And we do it by creating, stylish hands-free footwear that really brings comfort and convenience to everyday life. So, we're backed. Our founder, I'm going to go a little bit of the long version, but our founder, Mike Pratt, he's a serial inventor. And he's kind of one of those people that's always searching for the next problem to solve. So, this started way back when, where he kind of had this idea of like, why are we still bending over? Why are we still tying our shoes? There's got to be a better way. And so he kind of went and he set out to, find a better way. I don't know if for those out there, he started a company called Ogio, which was a bag company, and then sold that to Callaway Golf. But during that time, he had this like nagging idea of, there's got to be a better way to do it. And so, he just relentlessly innovated until he came up with not just one way, but hundreds of different ways to put on your shoes, or different ways to enhance the footwear experience. And like I said, now we have over 180 patents that have allowed us to, to scale where we are today. So like I said, we're on a mission to really, change the footwear game forever, which is a lofty goal, but we're doing it. So it's been pretty exciting.
What are the top 10 patents for? What are your holy grail patents for? What are you protecting? I imported a bulk import of products into Shopify, and I did not put in the meta fields the created date, and that sent the whole filtering system haywire, because you could no longer filter collections by newest in first or date added to the website, which was a really big problem for this quite large fashion brand. If I didn't have Rewind, that would have been a complete pickle. It would have taken hours, if not days, to sort out. All of the while these products are live and really messing up their merchandising. A mistake by me, absolutely. But fortunately, I had the foresight to install Rewind before I made any of these changes. And I was able to just click a button, restore the site back to a previous version just a few minutes before I made that fatal error. And no one was any the wiser. That's the value of Rewind. That's just one use case, okay? One use case. There are hundreds of other use cases. Have it on there, because when you need it, you'll text me or you'll tweet me and say, thank you so much, Finn, for recommending that I installed Rewind. You saved my bacon. Back to today's show.
Yeah, without divulging too much, our secret sauce is all about, footwear entry, how people get in and out of your shoes, and the experience that we can provide, are all kind of in and around that way. So it's hard, probably maybe for the outside person looking in, but there's so many different ways and structural components that go into making a shoe like ours. So it's not just like you step in and it feels like a floppy slipper that you can't really wear. But, when you step into a Kizik, you're stepping into an experience that really you kind of have to, experience to believe. But you step in without bending over, and your shoe is on and it fits like a regular shoe. You can go and perform any, regular activity that you normally would do. And so there's a lot of technology that goes into that is sometimes seen externally, but oftentimes is just, internal. So I think it would surprise most people to know the different ways that we've kind of patented, putting on an adjustability and managing the experience with your shoes. So, and some of it's not even, a lot of it's not even out on the market yet. So we have a long way to go.
And you've done some yards in this game. You've been around the block. So you just give us a quick recap of some of the previous jobs you've held, where they've been, and maybe just some key moments. some things that have stuck with you from, maybe just pick one from each. Could you do that?
Yeah. I actually didn't start off in marketing originally. I did. I was a portrait photographer for about 10 years, and that was a really fun experience. I didn't realize at the time that I was marketing myself and the company along the way. I mean, it was that when you're spending that much time with people and kind of providing an experience and then selling your service on top of that, you kind of learn. Human psychology and buyer psychology and all the fundamentals that go into marketing. And so, and then that was around the time that like Facebook was, kind of blowing up in the, 2000s where you could, do a lot more organically. So I kind of started there and then worked my way into agency life. I worked for a digital agency where I was, managing enterprise clients. And so you got to talk about strategy and execution and working, on, kind of the paid social and search and SEO and kind of learn the whole gamut there. And that was a really good learning opportunity. And then I just, like, as most people do, it was like agency life is not for me. I wanted to go in-house. But before I went to my first kind of in-house, I had worked with my brother actually, and we developed a CRM software solution that had to do with photography from kind of my experience there, and so did that for a few years. We sold that, exited, and that's when I realized I got to go find a new job, and found this opportunity for a mattress company, which I was like, well, mattresses, I don't know, that doesn't sound very exciting, but it turned out that was Purple, the kind of the iconic mattress company that a lot of marketers know, and was early, one of the first dozen employees on the marketing side there, and got to experience what, was explosive growth, from, a few $1 million to going public and, being valued at $1 billion. And that was an amazing ride and experience where getting got to learn a lot of the digital space, the ecom space, and really kind of planted my flag in the industry, and then that's how I got connected with our CMO there is now our CMO here at Kizik. His name is Alex MacArthur, and so we kind of joined Kizik together and learned, took a lot of what we learned at Purple and our playbook there, and have been able to kind of instill some of that at Kizik. So, and I've been here for 4 years. So it's been a fun ride, and I've been lucky to be part of, two really, really powerful, innovative, and patented, technology-based companies. So it's been a fun ride.
What can you give away from that playbook? I just want all of it, really. But the Purple success stories, obvious for everyone to see. Actually, also, before I want to ask you that, how do you take a good portrait photo on a phone specifically? Because this is something my fiance asks me all the time. And apparently, if you put more effort in, you get a better picture. Sometimes it's a great picture, she's very happy, and sometimes it's a bad picture, and I should have put in more effort. I don't know if I can hold the phone and scrunch my face more. Is that effort? What does that mean for the lay folk? Help us.
That's a good question. I think photography, especially when you're taking pictures of humans, it's all about angles, flattering angles. So I think learning kind of some of those basic posing techniques and then the right angles, like especially for your spouse and a loved one, if you're trying to shoot down, or at least even as much as you can, when you shoot up, it instantly is creating a double chin. And no matter how in shape or non-existent a double chin is, it always looks like you have one. So I'd say, start with the flattering angles, and you can't go wrong, especially with how advanced iPhones are. Lighting will typically work out, but if you can get the angles right and, the proper posing, you should be, maybe that might be the effort that you can, you can put in, but,
top down.
Yeah.
All right, I got it. All right. So back to this playbook then. what can you give away from the playbook? The purple thing was crazy. Did you use Harman Brothers at Purple? Was it someone similar to that?
We did. Yeah. Early on. Yeah. It had already kind of kicked off as I was joining. But our kind of, tent pole, video moment at Purple was kind of the Goldilocks video. If people remember that, and that was done with Harman Brothers. And I think at the time, that was the time they were doing Squatty Potty, and kind of that framework, and strategy that they put into those videos was really, disruptive at the time. You didn't see long form video, and humor, wasn't really used, all that much in advertising. So for us, it was, how do we disrupt a traditionally boring, category, mattresses. And, that was kind of the opportunity there. And I think what we've been able to take from, Purple is, creating content and creating disruptive content, has really served us well. So we really have focused on video, and disruptive moments and, formats and, opportunities for us to just kind of, insert ourselves into, a consideration set when maybe people weren't expecting it. And that's how you kind of get that brand recall when people are in market, especially for a mattress, where you're not necessarily actively shopping. It's, hey, I need a mattress, and I'm good for 10 years probably. And so we really wanted to get ahead of that thought process and create content that was entertaining and memorable, so that when you were shopping, it was like, oh, what was that company that, yeah, they had it was the Goldilocks or the Sasquatch video, or, you name it. We were much more like a content creation, juggernaut than we were just selling mattresses. We wanted to be entertaining and memorable. And I think that's what we have kind of employed at Kizik, especially with such a demonstrable product, being able to, again, disrupt kind of an industry that hadn't had a lot of disruption. I mean, footwear really hasn't changed over the years. It's been, silhouettes or fabric material changes, but like to really come in with, innovative technology and disrupt, you kind of have to turn, skeptics into believers. And so we've done a lot of that through video and demonstration and demonstrable, concepts. And that's really served us well.
Yeah, shoes haven't changed for a long, long time. For some reason, I've managed to train my Facebook algorithm to keep serving me, videos of mummification, like where they discover mummies. I have no idea what's going on, but 1 in every 5 pictures or videos on my Facebook feed at the moment is someone discovering a mummy in like an ancient part of the world. Weirdly, they discovered some shoes like date back 2,000 years. And I was like, they kind of look like Yeezys. I mean, I think that's maybe where he got the inspiration, but you're right. It was just kind of a sole and then some fabric on top. And I was like, they probably sell today pretty well. So who's your target market then? Because for me, shoes are sold on, I don't know why I buy shoes. I guess I buy shoes first and foremost. If it's for function, for sport, then I'm looking for the most functional ones. But actually, is that true? Do I just wear the ones that everyone wants because they're cool? Probably more in that camp. So who are you going after? Are you going after the sneakerhead? Are you going after the form and function? Like where do you sit?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And probably the biggest question we have asked ourselves and continue to ask ourselves, since I've been here, because, if you think about it, you kind of hit on a few of them. Of like there's anytime you purchase, clothing or, anything you're wearing, essentially, you're choosing to make some type of, fashion choice, whether you think you are or not. That's part of the decision you make. We inherently have, something that is very functional. So when you start to think about that, it's easy to go down a path of like those that need it most. So if you think about, aging America, those with maybe, in the adaptive space, pregnant moms, kids, right? It's easy to think about those that are like, oh, well, they need this because they inherently, have a harder time or need assistance, putting on shoes. And so that was like when we first started out, that was kind of the quickest way to go to market and start to test this. And that's kind of where we started. It was kind of aging America. So we started like 65 plus because it was, it's really easy to kind of show and tell, hey, there's a better way. But we knew in order to get where we wanted to go as a brand and be $1 billion brand and kind of change the footwear industry, we had to kind of think bigger than that and tell a different story. And so over time, we've really shifted the brand and the brand messaging to, the most recent iteration has been kind of, people on the go, busy people, those that kind of look at ways that they can save time or, improve upon kind of the current iteration. So to date, it's been a little bit more function over fashion, but we're really now on the next evolution of our brand is really going to be more aspirational and more fashion and style infused with kind of where we've been winning, which is function. And so it's a continual, evolution of the brand. And I think in order to be a household name, you have to start thinking about what people are choosing to wear from a style and a fashion standpoint over almost anything else. So we think that hands-free is kind of the icing on top. It's like, hey, those look good. They feel good. They're the most comfortable shoes. Oh, and they're hands-free. I'm in. So that's kind of our next step. And so we're kind of going after a little bit more aspirational audience that's going to help kind of push to a broader audience of kind of those, our core audience of kind of those time sensitive core audience today. So it's ever changing. It's such a broad market, which also makes it really challenging to go after.
Yeah, I mean, there've been a number of studies. Rory Sutherland speaks about it a lot. A few others in the advertising, kind of the British advertising space that I follow, about how people buy things. And I'm sure you're more than aware. Logic and emotion is the kind of simplest thing you can boil it down to, and people tend to lead with emotion and then justify with logic. And the logical part of what you guys do is really strong, isn't it? It's functional. It's there. You have that, it's another pair of shoes. Sorry about that credit card or whatever. But, these ones are going to save me time. I'm not going to have to fight my shoe every morning or after every workout. I can just slip it on and go. That to me is a justification. And that emotional piece is the thing that would actually get me excited, get me interested. Oh, that guy's wearing those shoes. I like that guy. Yeah. Oh, and they do that. I'm sold. Yeah. Do you see that? Is that how, or is that what you're trying to create?
Yeah, I think allowing people to find their tribe, right? Find your community. I think we've done a good job of creating certain pockets, like certain communities, like I said, that have maybe more specific use cases, but creating like I said, an emotional connection with a broad audience that can really drive that emotion. And then we all know that we're influenced by someone that we're aspiring to be, right? Someone that maybe like you in kind of the fitness world, you have people that you're looking up to saying, oh, I want to look like them. You're probably not going to get to that level, but if you can be inspired and push to kind of go in that direction, you're looking up to those people. And that's who we want to create, and build that awareness and that tribe around that we can, that people have those emotional connections. And then, then you justify it, but like, hey, it's checking off this box, they look good, they feel good. And, boom, hands free. I never need another pair of shoes, again, or from another brand. That is, we want you to buy tons from us. So
yeah, it's a good market. I think I like shoes a lot as an industry. I like shoes a lot as D2C. There are drawbacks, and we'll come on to that in a minute. But for now, can you just walk us through your new customer acquisition? What do you I want to know the channels you use, the ones that have been most effective for you. I want to know the creative that works best for you, and also the purchase journey, when and why you introduce different elements, like we were just talking about. When do you introduce the form and function? Is that your leading creative? Is that what gets people's attention? Or do you bring that in later on? Can you just walk us through your customer acquisition journey in as much detail as possible, I guess?
Yeah. like I said, we're big believers in video, and with such a demonstrable product, it is. We've tried, early on. We tried, static and still and photography, and it was just really hard to demonstrate the reality of what hands-free meant to someone. When people initially heard hands-free shoes, they're like, well, I have sandals or I have slip-ons, but really showing someone stepping into a shoe and watching the heel pop back up created this like trigger on someone's mind where it was like, oh my gosh, like that is something different. And so we still lead really with video first. So at the top of funnel, our awareness plays is, and this comes a little bit from Purple, but disruptive, high quality, especially on YouTube, high quality, brand pillar videos that really demonstrates who we are as a brand, but also shows off, the technology and the why and the how really quickly. And again, gets kind of people in with usually entertaining. We've relied on humor a lot to really, again, create a unique space in the footwear category that really has been dominated by, drop culture or fashion only. We've tried to kind of put a lighter spin on that. And so you'll see a lot of like, more entertainment, and even long form content that really gets people kind of in the door, where we can, like I said, introduce them to the brand, but also demonstrate the product. And then, as we kind of start to push people maybe down the funnel where they're, there's a little bit more consideration set going on, really doubling down on kind of the unique value props that we have, which is, again, it all centers around hands-free. And so we really start to introduce different silhouettes and styles. But also, again, if we can show a step in the first 3 seconds, we know that the likelihood those people are going to come back and explore more is really high. So again, we start to introduce more style because, again, like I said earlier on, people are still buying footwear primarily, especially at the younger demographics, based off of how it goes with, their outfit choices or their style. And so showing a variety of styles and colors and uniqueness there, mixed with the demonstrable element of hands-free really gets people kind of pushed down. And then, like a lot of brands, the UGC and, DR specific type content that plays well on Facebook and, again, key attributes of our shoe where people are kind of, they're on the edge ready to buy and they just need a little bit more of a push to get over the hump, with some type of review or UGC, social proof really kind of works well towards the bottom of the funnel. And then we've really seen, as we start to, bring people back, footwear, there's a reason why there's a lot of, why drop culture works and why new styles and new color, because when people find something they like, kind of keeping that flywheel going and repeat purchase, is primarily, driven by, new launches and new colorways. So we're constantly infusing that so we can have 1 to 2 moments a month where, we're really bringing people back to, even if it's not something that they love or color, they'll come back and we have a pretty high repurchase rate, somewhere around 40%, that people come back and they're buying again with us within 6 months. At a pretty high level, that's kind of how we see kind of getting people initially aware of the brand and then really demonstrating why we're different and unique.
Just help us paint a picture for us in a pie chart context. If you were to break down your levers of paid acquisition or organic, where are you spending the most time, by channel, by percentage? Like you can include UGC and influencer in that, but if you had to just roughly break it down, like Facebook ads is probably X percent, YouTube is this, and paid, maybe do paid versus organic. One pie chart, paid, where are you spending your money? one pie chart for organic where you're spending your time?
Yeah. On the paid side, it's probably 55, 60% on paid social, probably 20, 25% on like YouTube video, top of funnel content awareness. And then, we come, paid search comes in at shopping, 10, 15%. And then, we have, we're always testing like TikTok, Snapchat, some of those channels that we can, those are just a little, they're obviously harder to scale. The quantity of content that you need to really keep that up is really high. So, Facebook and Google, kind of the big players are big, take up most of our budget. And then, we've recently scaled into, paid influencer, where we've, identify, we work with an agency, but, identify kind of, influencers that can really move product. They're held to a pretty strict, return on ad spend type goal, where we can tie that into, more mid to bottom funnel type acquisition efforts. And then, on the organic side, we, again, with how much we spend on paid social, we're, really active, on our paid social accounts and creating content there that can obviously be used on organic, but then repurposed into paid ads, and kind of an always on TikTok, strategy that can again be used from boosting those on the paid effort to just creating and testing new opportunities, and trying to be, infused in cultural moments, through a TikTok strategy. So, a lot of efforts there. Our primary audience right now is, that 25 to 40-year-old woman on the go, busy mom. That's kind of who we're aiming at. So you'll see a lot of our content kind of geared, towards that, because they're making purchase decisions for themselves, usually their husbands, their kids, influencing their girlfriends, and then also buying for their parents too. So it's kind of this, it's been a good spot for us to kind of, really focus our efforts there. And so, they really are living on, Instagram and TikTok and in those areas. So
you are in the D2C space. If you have a brand that's selling online and you haven't at least had a demo with Sendlane, then one of two things is objectively true about you. You like setting money on fire. You like making your life more difficult. If neither of those things are true, and you are an e-commerce brand and you are selling online, you do send emails, you do send SMS, you do have reviews, or you at least like to collect reviews, then there is no reason for you not to at least have had a demonstration with Sendlane. They are built for e-commerce. They are the most modern platform with the best features, in my opinion, at the lowest cost. I mean, I'm not really sure what would be holding you back. Please go and check them out. Show notes below. They have an event coming up. You can still get tickets, I believe, for that event in San Diego. A link to the Commerce Roundtable in the show notes below as well. Please do go and check out Sendlane if you haven't already. Back to the episode. Does the effort that you put into the content and the creative match the percentage that you are allocating on the paid channels? What I mean by that is, if social media, Facebook is the primary channel, maybe YouTube secondary, do you also focus an equal amount in terms of your resource in creating content for that channel? Or is there an inverse relationship there where you're like, actually, we're going to spend 80% of our time creating this YouTube video and we'll do a few things for Facebook?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, time and money are probably, I'd give a different answer. Like, we spend a lot of time churning and creating new content to fuel these engines and machines, that may be a little bit more lo-fi, or, like I said, we do a lot of UGC, and those take up a lot of time, but though we're not dumping resources from a production standpoint into those. When we create more of our, high production value content that we run, on YouTube that plays really well. Maybe it's long form. Those we're dumping, a lot of resources in. Those clearly take time, but we're usually, that's it's one piece of creative that gets chopped up into 30 different pieces, but it all those are usually planned out twice a year or so, and so it's a lot of lead up to those and a lot of prep and planning, and then monetarily go into that to creating a really polished piece. But day to day and kind of the keeping these beasts fed, it's a lot of like creating that lo-fi content that you can just churn out quickly. So we try and get 20 to 25 pieces of content out a week that are kind of keeping that machine going while we can, we're using kind of our anchor and tentpole videos to really create that awareness and video. And those obviously just, we spend more money and an effort on those from a creative resource standpoint. So hopefully that makes sense. That answers your question, but it's kind of it's a different way that we employ our time and resources against those.
Do you spend more? I'll ask this for Purple and for Kizik. I answer for both companies. Do you spend more creating content or amplifying the content with paid?
For sure, amplifying. Yeah, we can get a lot of. There's a lot of runway when you spend time creating the strategy and like the pre-pro up front to maximize the lifespan and what you get out of it. Then those can last for sometimes. I think we even ran Goldilocks ran for a couple of years, right? And so it was just fuel that. Same. We've seen similar things at Kizik where if we create a great spot, we can run that for a year and a half, and put a lot of money behind those.
What are the main differences between selling mattresses and slinging shoes, in your opinion?
That's a good question. I'd say shoes are a lot more sexy. People care more about how they present themselves and like I said, style and there's a lot more opportunity to like we just recently launched a collaboration we did a Jet Puff collab. So we launched a toasted marshmallow shoe that showing up on Hypebeast or some of these more culturally relevant places is it's pretty fun. Where the mattress world was kind of it's not super sexy. We tried our best to liven it up and create entertaining that. So that's been fun. The footwear takes a lot longer. The product life cycle takes a long time to create, from design to launching. It can sometimes be 18 months before you see a new shoe come out. So it takes a lot more patience to iterate and create product. But we're also able to, repeat buyers and getting people back. Like I said, people buy a mattress and a pillow and, sheets once every 5 to 7 years. Maybe you can sell them sheets or a pillow again, but they're gone. Whereas, like I said, we can get, 2-3 time buyers within a year. Up to, people buy upwards up to 5 pairs of shoes a year, if not more. And so there's a lot more room to get people back in the door and create that evangelism. So that's been really fun to see a community thrive and build upon those diehard fans that you're able to create.
And shoes as a D2C business, coming into it, what were your thoughts? And then now you've been in it for 4 years. Is it a good D2C? But I know you just opened a retail store, recently opened retail. I'd like to know a bit more about that. But is it a good D2C business?
Yes and no. I think with any apparel brand and footwear, if not controlled, it can really inventory, and like for every color, there's 13 different styles. For every style it just can exponentially build upon itself. So inventory and resource management and kind of the behind the scenes logistics can be really tricky, and you can be upside down if you forecast gets out of control or you miss. And so I think that's the scariest part with D2C is and if return rates, and you don't nail the product, it can go wrong. But controlling your own destiny and how you position your brand and everything from your margins to pricing and there's a lot of flexibility and freedom that you don't get from when you start to go wholesale and having to be accountable for others. But like I said, we've recently launched in Nordstrom. We're in 5 stores now, and we love that relationship and are going to continue to ramp up there. And while that does limit some flexibility on the D2C side, the distribution and the ability to be associated with brands like Nordstrom and some of the other partners that we'll be into is does really have a nice halo effect where people can discover your product in another way that you just can't do through D2C, or people just don't want to buy footwear online. They need to try it on, and people are really particular about footwear sometimes. So definitely pros and cons, but we've been fortunate enough to really scale primarily on D2C up to this point, become a 9-figure brand, all D2C primarily, and now work our way strategically into retail and wholesale. So it's a great place to be when it's working the way that you intend. So
it's a good industry. I have multiple pairs of shoes. I don't know anyone who just has one pair of shoes. You have pairs of shoes for uses, for style, for fashion. So I do like the fact that you buy multiple pairs a year usually, and I guess the margins are probably pretty good. But like you said, you got to stack them: sizes, colors, returns, a lot of uphills. But they also become a little bit of a moat, I guess. All right, man. Well, I want to leave it with this: the future. I mean, the past has been amazing with Kizik by the sounds of things. What's your stick in the sand for the future? What are you aiming towards, and what's your timeline on it, and how are you getting there?
Yeah, I think you heard me reference a couple times. We want to be the next, $billion brand. We want to disrupt this industry and kind of plant our flag as the next evolution of footwear. And we feel like we have, the moat around us to get there, and just so much potential to help us, over the next 3 to 5 years. So, we're going to do that by, like you said, we opened our first retail store here in Salt Lake City. It's our hometown, and that's gone far and above expectation, and kind of lit a fire under us to expand into retail even more quickly. So, hope is that we can open up 3 to 5 more stores next year. We already have some locations that we're looking at and on the way, and so that's going to be a big one for us. And then we've recently, we hired, people from some amazing brands to help us for international expansion. There's a whole opportunity for both cultural and lifestyle, those that can really need and use hands-free footwear, and then just opening up, new markets. So that's going to be a push for us in 24. And then we mentioned wholesale. That's an area for us to really open up distribution and align ourselves with partners like Nordstrom and others where we can be discovered in a different way. So, I think with really doubling down on what we do right now really well, which is D2C, and we'll always be a D2C first company, but opening up new channels for us, we couldn't be more excited about the future of what that looks like, and bringing on some super talented people to help us get there. So none of us were footwear experts when we came on, and so we're trying to surround ourselves with really amazing people to kind of help us level up and take this, like I said, globally. So a lot on the horizon for us.
What's one thing that you're trying to solve for right now that the Ecom Gold community may or may not be able to help you with? It could be a hire that you're looking for. It could be someone to help you with international tax and litigation. What's something that's fairly high on your agenda that you need to get solved and could do with a hand with?
Good question. One, on the hiring side, we feel like there's a big opportunity for us with brand collaborations and just infusing partnerships and like I said, we just did one that was kind of our first foray into a collaboration with Jetpuff, which went really well. We were going to sell out of those shoes, and it was just a great moment for us. But we'd really like to go deeper into that and create more connection with brands and communities where we can really push the bounds and do some unique stuff. So if anyone has great experience there, we'd love to talk and do more really cool collabs and experiential marketing, things like that. So that's kind of top of mind for me and the team that I manage.
You heard it there, folks. If you can help, please do. That launch was sick. I mean, the shoes were so comfy. So fluffy. All right, we'll end it there. Thank you very much, Bret, for joining us on the Ecom Gold podcast.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you, Bret. Thanks for joining us on the Ecom Gold podcast. Thank you for listening, and I hope you found some value in that episode. You can reach out to Bret on Twitter. You can reach out to me on Twitter. The show was brought to you by Sendlane. It was brought to you by Rewind. If you'd like a deal, if you'd like a demo, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to them. Links in the show notes below. Appreciate you getting to the end. You must be as passionate as I am about e-commerce. So thank you very much for being a supporter of the show. If you see us anywhere, tweet, please subscribe on YouTube. It really helps. I'm not sure what, apart from my ego, but there you go. Please do anyway. And we'll catch you next week.